Part 4. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 31. Bang. The floor shattered, and Hannibal was hit close to the ground with a hammer. Li Fa put away the sledgehammer and snorted coldly. You, an ugly man like you, want to get close to Master Chu Lan, what a dream. If you didn't know Hannibal's identity, that hammer just now, he might have died. Chu Lan squatted down and joked with a smile. Isn't this the warden of Impel Down, Hannibal? It's been a long time. Hannibal pulled out the head and said with a flattering smile, Lord Chu Lan's hung, long time no see. Did you receive the poison that was sent to you? What is the effect? Thank you Lord Chu Lan's hung, the effect is very good, Hannibal said happily. Magellan now has diarrhea for 12 hours every day, and I am one step closer to the position of warden. It's a pity that we couldn't poison him directly. This guy Magellan refused to abdicate no matter what. As a highly motivated man, Hannibal had an unimaginable desire to be the warden. He never thought about seeking power to usurp the throne and drag Magellan from his seat. Magellan now suffers from diarrhea every day, but he refuses to abdicate. Which troubled him very much. That's such a shame, Warden Hannibal. Chu Lan patted him on the shoulder and said, but don't worry, your dream will come true soon. Really? Hannibal's eyes lit up. I promise you. Hannibal danced happily, believing Chu Ian's words deeply. Among all the people he knew, only the noble Lord Chu Lan would directly call him the warden without adding the subtitle. Chu Ian's first. When the Draco people were sent to Impel Down, Hannibal was responsible for the arrangements, and Magellan didn't know about it. That was the day when he first heard someone say to him, you are the best warden of Impel Down candidate. Hannibal was moved to tears. So, the biggest traitor in Impel Down City and Chu Ian's most loyal henchman appeared. Lord Chu Lan's hung, the person you want has been arranged for you. Do you want to take him away now? Hannibal asked. Chu Lan shook her head and said, no rush, I have to wait for someone. Calculating the time, it should be there soon. Waiting for someone? Hannibal said doubtfully, my subordinates have not received any news of anyone else visiting. Chu Lan didn't answer. She turned to look at the distant coastline and said with a smile, here we come. Hannibal opened his mouth wide. On the far coastline, a dozen extremely huge Neptune species were rolling crazily on the sea. In front of their huge bodies, a human figure was rushing towards the Impel City at a high speed. Within a few seconds, the figure was clearly visible. He was waving to Chu Lan happily. He didn't know what he was shouting, but the huge roar of the Sea King drowned his voice. The person who came was naturally General Cheng. Pheasant. Only he can walk unscrupulously through the windless zone full of Sea Kings. With a beautiful flick, the speeding locomotive stopped at the port. A dozen giant Sea Kings saw that one and teased them. How dare humans stopped and rushed towards him even more crazily. If their huge bodies were allowed to crash into the port, not only all the warships in the port would be destroyed, but even the Impel City would be damaged. As a responsible Navy general, Aokiji naturally can't let this happen. Aokiji parked the car, turned around and leaped into the air, spread his arms, faced the Sea Kings who were close at hand, and shouted softly. Ice Age. Click. A crisp sound sounded, and the rolling bodies of the Neptunes and the huge waves set off all fell into a strange stillness at this moment. The sea seemed to freeze at this moment. In the sea, the only moving figure slowly moved towards the crowd. Coming. The ice condensed stairs formed under his feet, supporting his body, and he walked up to the high platform step by step. Chu Lan looked envious, and wanted to kill Ching Pheasant on the spot and snatch his frozen fruit. The way he appeared was so cool. Just one word, handsome. In the dull and shocked eyes of the soldiers, King Zi waved his hand and said, hey, Master Chu Lan's hung, long time no see. Kuzan, long time no see. Chu Lan stepped forward and the two shook hands. As for why they didn't hug. Well, although Qing Pheasant is a human being, with a height of 2.98 meters, Chu Lan can only hold him up to his waist. Chu Lan once again experienced the pain of those men who were less than 1.6 meters tall. The two of them exchanged greetings as if no one else was around, while Hannibal stood at attention and took a breath, trying his best to look dedicated. The reason why he dared to engage in weird chatting with Magellan, and even seek power and usurp the throne in person, was because the two were so familiar with each other that he knew Magellan wouldn't care about such things. But if he dares to be presumptuous in front of the admiral, or express his thoughts of seeking power and usurping the throne, Aokiji doesn't have to report it to the world government. You can kill him directly. Reading books on May Day is a joy. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 32. Why did General Qing Pheasant come? General Qing Pheasant has a good relationship with Master Chu Lan's Hung. With the support of the General and Lord Chu Lan, is my position as warden more stable? Hannibal couldn't help but chuckle secretly. On the other side, Qing Ji enthusiastically hugged Chu Ian's shoulders and asked Master Chu Lan, how is the research on the new car? I can't wait. Chu Lan pushed away in disgust and said, what's the hurry, Bei, isn't Garpunk carrying out the Navy's plan to transform the Big Bear? He can't spare the time to do the final debugging. After this incident is over, come find me in Marijoya. What, the plan to remodel Big Bear actually delayed my new car? It's really abominable. King Z cursed subconsciously, and then froze. Wait a minute, isn't the plan to transform the Big Bear a top secret of the world government? Why do you know? Except for the warring states marshal and the three generals, it is impossible for others to know about this. This doubt it stayed in his mind for 2 seconds and then dissipated. What's so strange about this? It should be strange that Chu Lan doesn't know about this, okay. CP0 is a spy agency directly affiliated with the Tianlong people. Although Lu Qi's strength is very useless, but his ability to collect intelligence is still very strong. It is impossible to hide this kind of thing from him. In addition, Aoki looked at the Pleiades, especially looking at Li Fa. Even he had to pay attention to this little girl's strength. Li Fa had no expression on her face, standing next to Chu Lan, watching Qing Pheasant warily, ready to take action at any time. Even a general may be a potential enemy and cannot be trusted. After the small talk, of course we have to start talking about the serious business of coming here. Chu Lan, why did you ask me to be your bodyguard? Qing Pheasant asked, if it's a matter involving the Tianlong people, I shouldn't be needed. Although the general has the obligation to protect all Tianlong people, if it were not for the pressure from the contract and the world government, he would not bother to deal with those useless Tianlong people. Of course, except Chu Lan, his car is still in Chu Ian's hands. Of course not. If he wants to take away the Tianlong people, he only needs to tell Hannibal. There is no need to come by himself, and it is impossible for Qing Pheasant to be a bodyguard. Chu Lan said with a smile, I just want to see someone. Who needs me as a bodyguard? Qing Pheasant asked, is it Fire Fist Ace? My ability is indeed just enough to restrain him. You will know then. Chu Lan turned around and ordered, Hannibal, take us to the Red Lotus Hell. I haven't seen my fellow Tianlong people for a long time, and I still miss them a little. I obey, Lord Chu Lan's Hung. Hannibal quickly agreed and said subconsciously, welcome Lord Chu Lan's Hung and General Qing Pheasant to my prison. Your prison? King Z grasped the key point decisively and asked doubtfully, isn't the warden here Magellan? Ah, this. Hannibal is in danger. Hannibal was Magellan's next prison warden, Chu Lan said with a smile, in a short time, Magellan will step down as warden of Impel Down City. Why? Ching Pheasant asked. I have not received any relevant reports. Chu Lan smiled but didn't answer. In a few days, Straw Hat Boy will come here to rob the prison. Blackbeard and his gang will take the opportunity to invade Impel Down City, release the LV-6 prisoners, and form his own Blackbeard pirates. However, I always felt like something was wrong. Chu Lan suddenly thought that according to the original development, the Straw Hat Boy would successfully enter the Impel Down City with the help of the Empress, but now, who knows where he went after being photographed by the Big Bear? Since he doesn't read the newspaper, it's unclear whether he knew about Ace's arrest. As for sneaking into Impel Down City, how could he succeed without a second Empress to help him cover? Chu Lan was a bit dumbfounded. Did she trick Hannibal in disguise? If Straw Hat Kid fails to successfully sneak into Impel Down City and causes chaos, Magellan will not be restrained by Straw Hat Kid and his team. If Magellan is not restrained, Eugenia will not be released from prison. If Shirou of Rain had not been released from prison, Blackbeard would not have been able to defeat Magellan. If Blackbeard and his gang were blocked at the door by Magellan, then, it is impossible to invade LV-6, release the most vicious criminals, and form a complete pirate group. It is also impossible to successfully kill Whitebeard and seize his abilities. Unless Whitebeard dies, a new era cannot begin. Chu Lan rubbed his chin and pondered for a moment. Did his operation change the course of history? Luffy, whereabouts unknown. Blackbeard, the prison robbery failed. Eyes the Fire Fist, successful execution. Hannibal, didn't become warden. Everyone has a bright future? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Da-ei Tianlong. Chapter 33. Who cares, so what if we change the world? How boring is an unchanging world? If you know the plot in advance, this world is too boring. Change, change. Let me see an unknown world. By the way, Aokiji, how much do you know about Douglas Barrett? Chu Lan asked casually. I heard that he is called the successor of Ghost. Even the people on Roger's ship called him a monster. How strong must he be? Can you beat the current Whitebeard? Douglas Barrett? King Z's face changed drastically, and he asked in shock, you asked me to come here just to see this man, right? Haha, was it exposed? I don't think it's a good idea to meet him. Even if he is locked up in the infinite hell and his abilities are completely restricted by the Sea Tower Stone, he is not a simple character. King Z said seriously back then, he caused the Jalsberg massacre. In the end, it was the Navy that launched the demon-slaying order, and Sengoku and Garp took action at the same time to defeat him. So, didn't this call you here? Chu Lan laughed and explained, don't worry, I can't fight. I called you here just for insurance. Still saying, you can't beat him? Chu Lan didn't say this. He still believed in King Z's strength. He could use the fruit's ability to easily crush the imprisoned Barrett without any problem. After all, Aokiji is also a naval admiral. That's also very dangerous, King Z said. He is not the only prisoner in LV-6, Fire Fist Ace is also detained here. Speaking of Ace, isn't he going to be executed soon? Do you want to take him away by the way? Chu Lan asked. I do not want it. Qing Ji shrugged and said lazily, leave this kind of work to others. My motorcycle can't carry people. The two chatted casually, and soon arrived at the Red Lotus prison on the first floor underground of the undersea prison. The people detained here are all small pirates, the kind of cowards who dare not run away even if they open the prison door. Everyone. Oh, except Mr. Bucky. Being locked up in LV-1 is simply a sign of humiliation. After all, he has to be at LV-6 to meet the identity of Mr. Bucky. Chu Lan thought happily, walking through the cells and coming to the deepest corridor. Here, there is a huge cell, and the prisoners in it are all Tianlong people sent in by Chu Lan. And next to this cell, the clown Bucky lives, and he is chatting happily with this group of people at the moment. Hey, you, a new celestial dragon, don't even know my Lord Bucky's name. I will teach you a lesson tomorrow. Charos lay on the ground with a bruised nose and face, and angrily shouted, "Damn slave, I am a noble celestial dragon, how dare you do this to me, I will definitely kill you after I get out." Behind him, in the darkness of the prison, dozens of figures were hiding inside, watching the new compatriots chattering like idiots. In the prison, every Tianlong person was extremely proud when they first came in. Don't take everyone seriously, but still treat them as slaves. Ordinary prisoners still have some respect and fear for them, especially Bucky the Clown. Man, rescue him by the way, but, after some time, more and more celestial dragons were sent, and Bucky found that it was impossible for these people to save him. His attitude suddenly changed drastically. He changed his previous flattering attitude and beat and scolded these celestial dragons, even more harshly than the jailer beast. The Tianlong people still can't understand why men are so fickle. Walking through the clown Bucky's cell, Bucky saw the person coming and thought it was the newly sent celestial dragon. He was about to make a mockery when he saw Kuzan standing behind Chu Lan, and then he became honest. "Big, General." Bucky squatted in the corner, shivering. Why did this guy Aokiji come to Red Lotus Hell? Who is the man in front of him? The group of people ignored him. Bucky watched the man leading the general, followed by the deputy warden and maid, standing in front of the huge cell where the Tianlong people were detained. When Saint Charlo saw the person coming, he seemed to have seen a savior. "Shout loudly. Chu Lan's hung, are you here to save me? Get me out quickly. Where is this place? Where is my father? I want to turn everyone here into slaves." Chu Lan looked at the slugs jumping around and gave Hannibal a look. Hannibal understood instantly and gave a look to the jailer beast behind him. The jailer beast understood instantly, took out his stick and walked in. Snap! Bang bang bang! I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 34. After more than a dozen sticks were struck, Charos's screams changed from a shocked and angry scream at the beginning, to a painful scream, and finally to kneeling down and begging for mercy. Very interesting. Just like picking up other garbage, Jailerman, who had no idea what kind of noble status the celestial dragons were, bent down and walked out of the prison to continue his patrol mission. Slug lay on the ground with blood on his face, while the other celestial dragons hid in the shadow of the cell, trembling. Chu Lan looked at them indifferently. Each of these Tianlong people he sent in was a scum who had committed more than one life. Chu Lan naturally had no mercy towards them. In the eyes of the Tianlong people who have not yet entered the city, Chu Lan is killing each other, and even gave him the title of cold-blooded person, but in his opinion, you are all members of the Hammer, and the reason why labor and management are Tianlong people is because the identity of Tianlong people is so easy to use, right? At this moment, a scrawny Tianlong suddenly sprang out from the crowd, punching and kicking the slug on the ground until the slug was knocked unconscious, and then he stopped panting. "Lord Chu Lan's hung." The Tianlong man shouted, knelt down in front of Chu Lan, and said, "Sir Chu Lan, I have helped you teach this ignorant waste a lesson, and I hope I can eliminate your anger." Chu Lan looked at the old man kneeling in front of him with a half smile, and said with a smile, "Saint Alsop, you did a good job. I'm really not that angry anymore. It is my honor to serve you." The old man knelt on the ground and asked respectfully, "Master Chu Lan's hung, I have been here for 3 years. I don't know. Is it my turn to get out of here?" Chu Lan lowered her head and glanced at him. Compared with 3 years ago, he had changed a lot. The bubble hood that originally disdained the slaves to breathe the same air was gone, the noble and ugly clothes were gone, and he was dressed in grey and white. When the clothes were worn on the body, the feeling of dilapidation was very obvious. The long hair and beard, which were originally carefully taken care of, were tangled and dirty, and they no longer had that condescending attitude. The moment he saw Chu Lan, displeasure flashed in his eyes. There is only deep anger and resentment hidden, as well as deep fear. He is afraid. He is really afraid. As a world noble, the celestial dragon is imprisoned in a place like an undersea prison. Although he does not have to suffer too much, he would not be beaten severely by the jailer beast every day, but being imprisoned in a place like the undersea prison, even if he did nothing, the celestial dragon, who had been prosperous and wealthy since he was a child, could not accept it. In the past 3 years, he has seen too many people die. A celestial dragon. He realized deeply that his status was of no use here, especially when facing the sand sculpture jailerman. Alsop St. Chu Lan said, "I haven't seen you for a few years. How have you been?" "Thank you, Lord Chu Lan's Hung, for your concern. I managed to survive." "That's good." Chu Lan smiled and nodded. "Do you know why I came here today?" His eyes lit up. "Could it be?" "That's right, I'll take you out and meet someone." "Really?" "Lord Chu Lan's Hung, can I go out now?" Alsop cried with joy. "Can I ask, who do you want to take me to meet?" "Who are you meeting?" "Of course it's my wife, Hancock." Chu Lan smiled and said, "A slave who escaped from you and was abused by you." Alsop's face was stunned, and he couldn't remember which slave he was. "Why, want me to meet a slave?" Alsop was puzzled, but when he saw Chu Ian's expression that was half smiling but not smiling, his eyes slowly opened wide, his mouth slowly opened, and he shouted in disbelief. "You want to kill me?" "No, no, no, how is that possible?" Chu Lan said. "Let your former slave decide whether to kill you or not." Alsop's face gradually became desperate and he shouted crazily. "Ha ha ha, a slave, you actually want a slave to kill me? I am a celestial dragon, a descendant of the Creator." Alsop suddenly saw the blue pheasant beside him, as if he saw a savior, and shouted. "Navy, Admiral, come on, protect me, get me out. This is an order, an order." Ching Pheasant stood there, as if he didn't hear anything. Chu Lan sighed, "Slave. It seems that after all these years, you still haven't figured out your identity." Chu Lan gave Hannibal another look, and Hannibal understood instantly. Hannibal waved his hand. "Jailer beast, the Minotaur is gone and back." He bent down and walked into the cell, grabbed Alsop, dragged him out of cell. "Let me go, you damn effort, let me go." Alsop struggled frantically. "I am a celestial dragon, the most noble celestial dragon, Chu Lan. If Lord Im knows that you are doing this to me, I will never let you go." "I'm," Chu Lan raised the corner of her mouth and asked, "Do you think he doesn't know?" "What's the meaning?" Woolager Sheng's face changed drastically, and he murmured in despair. "Impossible, impossible, Master, I will not allow you to do this." Of course he wouldn't have allowed it, if he still knew. "I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person." Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 35. Alsop's teeth were smashed with a stick, and the Minotaur grabbed his legs and dragged him out of the prison. Alsop looked desperate and kept scratching the ground with his hands. "No, let me go, no, no." Alsop struggled crazily. At this moment, the prison that had imprisoned him for many years seemed to have become a life-saving straw. Although he did not eat well, sleep well, or wear good clothes in the prison, but at least he could still be alive. If he gets out of this prison, he will definitely die. Alsop's struggle and begging for mercy fell in Chu Ian's eyes, reminding him of a famous saying of the Lushuran boss. "People's joys and sorrows are not the same, I only think they are noisy." He is very noisy now. Chu Lan frowned slightly, and Hannibal immediately understood the meaning of Chu Ian's frown, and kicked the struggling Saint Alsop unconscious. It's just a kick, so I shouldn't be held responsible, right? Hannibal was a coward and ordered the jailers to drag the unconscious Saint Alsop away. The prison is finally quiet again. Hannibal, clean him up. I'm going to take him away after I'm done with this. I obey, Lord Chu Lan's hung. Through the special elevator, several people arrived at LV4 Searing Hell. Magellan's office is on this floor. If you want to enter LV6 Infinite Hell, you must change to another elevator at LV4, and this elevator is located near Magellan's office. If the prisoners want to rob the prison, they must defeat the most powerful man in Impel Down City, Warden Magellan, at LV4, but it is impossible for ordinary people to do this. Lord Chu Lan's hung, do you want to meet Magellan first? In the warden's office, Hannibal suddenly asked, if you want to enter LV6, you still have to tell him. Why? Chu Lan asked back, aren't you the warden? Hannibal was suddenly startled, and then laughed. Ha 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 ha, that's right. Am I not the warden? Ah, I'm sorry, I exposed my ambition. This is Magellan's office, so be careful. Let's go, Magellan is probably still having diarrhea at this time, and I don't want to get him, Chu Lan said disgustedly. But, Hannibal calmed down and said, for your safety, why don't you take Warden Magellan with you? No need, Chu Lan pointed at Ching Pheasant beside him, isn't this called the General? Ching Pheasant. Is this the reason why you called me here? Are you just afraid of being smoked? I obey, Lord Chu Lan's hung, Hannibal happily arranged it. You guys, hurry up and open the elevator to the 6th floor. The warden wants to take Mr. Chu Lan's hung to visit LV6. Yes, Deputy Warden. Hannibal's main task is to be responsible for body searches on the ground floor, but when Magellan is away, as the Deputy Warden, he can issue orders for the warden. If he wants to take people to LV6, there will naturally be no problem. Sitting in Magellan's warden's seat, Hannibal arranged everything as a matter of course. Chu Lan smiled and said, look, let me just say that he is a more suitable candidate for warden, right? King Zi ignored him. The elevator door slowly opened, and the three of them headed straight to LV6. Just when Hannibal took Chu Lan and Ching Pheasant to leave LV4 and go to LV6. In the toilet next to the office, Magellan came out rubbing his belly. Warden Magellan, thank you for your hard work. Ah, what a tough battle. Magellan sighed and asked, I seem to hear Hannibal's voice. Has he been here? Reporting to the warden, the deputy warden took Master Chu Lan's hung and General Ching Pheasant to LV6. Magellan. Magellan looked confused, who gives him the right to take people to infinite hell without my permission? Warden Hannibal, ah no, the soldier quickly changed his words, the deputy warden said, you are going to the toilet, so I won't disturb you. Magellan was furious and said, the Draco and the Admiral came to my prison. Why don't I know? Report to Warden Magellan that you were in the bathroom at the time and it was the deputy warden who answered the call. Hannibal. Magellan shouted, covered his stomach, and rushed into the toilet again. LV6, Infinite Hell. As the most important and most heavily defended area in Impel Down City, the criminals imprisoned here are all too vicious and have been erased from history by the world government. With the exception of jailermen, not even soldiers can enter without special permission. Ordinary people don't even know that there is a 6th level in Impel Down City. The huge elevator slowly descended, and Chu Lan finally arrived at LV6 Infinite Hell. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 36. Exit the lift. Chulan looked at the buildings in front of her that were all made of sea stone. Even the prison door was made of sea stone. There were no screams in the whole prison, only an eerie silence. Every prisoner here has handcuffs or anklets made of seafloor stone on his wrists or ankles. Some of the more dangerous felons even have their bodies tied up with seafloor stone chains and can only sit there. Can't move at all. Chulan saw many familiar faces here, including Crocodile, Katerina, the evil King Pizarro, Valder, and Carlo. In addition to these familiar criminals who committed serious crimes, there were also many prisoners whom Chulan could not recognize at all. It can only be said that no matter where you are, there are creatures like dragon trappers. Even in LV6, the underwater prison where the most vicious prisoners are imprisoned, there are still so many powerful trappers. Hannibal said tremblingly, "Master Chulan, do you really want to go in? Although the prisoners here are all under control, they are still very dangerous." Chulan patted his belly and comforted him. "Don't worry. Isn't there still a general here?" Hey, hey, I'm not here to fight." King Z reminded, "Don't really anger that man. If I fight him here, I will probably penetrate the city. Don't worry, I know it." That being the case, Lord Chulan's Hung, please come in. The footsteps of a group of people attracted the attention of the prisoners, and the originally quiet prison suddenly became lively. Hannibal. Ha ha ha, this coward actually dares to come to LV6. Now that he is here, Magellan, the one with diarrhea, must be here too. You have diarrhea, where are you? Come out quickly. Ha 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 ha. Not just himself, there are others behind him. What, have new people been brought here? Didn't we just capture Fire Fist Ace and Shishibukai Jinbi a few days ago? The recent sea area is not peaceful. The prisoners were discussing unscrupulously, looking behind Hannibal with wide eyes. The figures of Chulan and Aokiji slowly walked out of the shadows. The next second, the ridicule of all the supporting criminals stopped abruptly. Crocodile, Jinbi, Ace, and the criminals hiding silently in the dark, a trace of surprise flashed in their eyes. Big, General Ching Pheasant. Why did the Admiral come to the underwater prison? What kind of prisoner is it that can make the Admiral take action? Where is the prisoner? Why can't I see the prisoner? Look, there, between Hannibal and the blue pheasant, is a human, but he was too short to see it. Short. A black line appeared on Chu Ian's forehead. Damn it, in 2 lifetimes, this was the first time that he was called short to his face. Duan. The huge hammer hit the ground with a loud noise. Li Fa swung the hammer in her hand and was about to smash the speaker to death. Damn criminal. How dare you say that Lord Chulan is a dwarf? Death is simply not enough. Cherish. Liver, Chulan stopped her, put away your weapons and don't destroy the prison. Yes, Lord Chulan. Lefa immediately put away the hammer and looked at Chulan with admiration. Ah, Mr. Chulan is so magnanimous. He didn't blame these prisoners. He was worried about destroying the prison. How he cared about public property. Use my knife, Chulan continued. Li Fa didn't take the knife in the end because she didn't want these people to dirty Master Chu Ian's knife. He moved instantly, stretched out his hand, and grabbed the man who was speaking in the cell. His fingers suddenly closed and he actually broke the criminal's neck. The criminals who can be imprisoned in LV6 have all committed crimes that require death. There are 3 reasons why they are not executed directly. One reason is because they have top secret information. For example, Crocodile knows the clues to ancient weapons, Barrett knows the clues to the permanent pointer of the Grand Line, and the Golden Lion knows the secrets of the Rocks pirates. This information is very valuable, but these vicious pirates will not tell the truth easily, so they are locked up here and tortured slowly. Another reason may be because of the devil fruit in their bodies. If the devil fruit ability can be taken out, the Navy can increase a lot of powerful combat power. The last reason is to appease the pirates. If the pirates knew that the result of being caught by the Navy would be execution, then who would surrender easily? If the pirates do something more extreme, it will cause greater damage and bring greater trouble to the Navy. But there can be various reasons for not killing these people, but if you want to kill them, you can kill them at will. After all, no one will know what happened in the prison of LV6. Magellan had the right to execute them at will. Hannibal, of course not. But if someone was rude to Chulan and was killed, Hannibal said that he really deserved it. He wouldn't report it to Magellan anyway. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 37. Li Fa's method of directly killing people was indeed very intimidating. The noisy prisoners all calmed down. No one dared to speak out anymore, and no one dared to mock Chulan for being a dwarf who was only 1.85 meters tall. After all, even if you are at LV6, you are still alive. Judging from the actions of that woman just now, she will not explain to you, she will really kill someone directly. At this time, it's best to keep quiet. Well, this is not cowardice, this is strategic quietness. Ha 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 ha, what a terrible woman! A joking voice suddenly came from the cell on the side. Li Fa was about to take action again, but Chulan stopped her and looked at the man with the golden hook on his arm behind the cell. Crocodile, Chulan mocked, it's really embarrassing for the Shichibukai. How does it feel to be defeated by a newcomer with a bounty of only 30 million? After saying this, Crocodile's face turned red instantly. What did you say? With such little strength, you still want to take Whitebeard's head? I almost laughed out loud. Crocodile swung his hook on the prison door. That was an accident, an accident. Okay, okay, I get it. Unexpected. Chulan waved her hand and snapped her fingers. I have no time to talk to you now, so shut up. The invisible power suddenly sealed Crocodile's mouth. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't open his mouth and say a word. Chulan slowly walked towards the depths of the prison and glanced at Jinbei and Ace, who were locked up in the prison. The two good friends just ignored them and ignored them. The main purpose of coming here today was not to find them. Ace was a little confused. He originally thought he was a big shot attracted to him, but he didn't know he had nothing to do with him. The prison guy in the deepest part, inside the huge cell. The seafloor stone chains in this cell are much thicker than the chains in other cells, and even the railings are double-layered railings made of seafloor stone. There are constant gasps in the cell. The sound of the chains kept colliding with each other, making a harsh sound. A vague and strong figure was wrapped in chains and was exercising non-stop. Looking at his exercising figure and his exaggerated figure, Chulan really wanted to say something. If you don't train your legs for fitness, you will get yang wei sooner or later. Calling. Speak English. Who is it? The sound of the chains hitting the ground stopped. The figure stood up, walked out of the shadows, came to the prison door, and sat down sweating profusely. No one has come to see me for a long time. I thought I was forgotten by the world. Chulan looked at the huge man in front of her, Douglas Barrett, the strongest man in the world. Yes, it's me. Barrett grinned and said, young strong man, who are you? Ha 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 ha. Chulan suddenly laughed, as expected of the successor of the evil ghost, you are very discerning. Ah ha 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 ha. Barrett also laughed, you're not bad either. The two stood there laughing at the same time, causing Hannibal and Aoki Pheasant to look confused. What's going on? Why did these two people blow rainbow farts at each other as soon as they met? Have you met before? Why is the relationship so good? After a while, the two stopped laughing at the same time. Chulan asked Barrett, do you want to be free? After asking this question, Barrett was stunned for a moment, and then grinned ferociously. Hannibal was so shocked that he couldn't speak. King Z immediately became alert and looked at Chu Yan's back, wondering what he said. What does this mean? One of the most ferocious criminals in the world, a man who was defeated and arrested only after launching a demon-slaying order, the world government cannot let him regain his freedom. Boy, what do you mean? Barrett asked seriously. Literal meaning, Chu Lan asked again, do you want to be free? Certainly, Barrett laughed and said, but the world government will not agree to this kind of thing. That's not your concern. Chu Lan smiled and stretched out her hand. I haven't introduced myself yet, Chu Lan. If you like, you can add Sheng at the end. Chu Lan's hung, Tianlong. Barrett narrowed his eyes. That's indeed interesting, but it's not enough. Chu Lan smiled and said nothing more. Hannibal finally found a chance to interrupt, mustered up his courage, and said tremblingly. Lord Chu Lan's hung, this man cannot be released, it will cause chaos in the world. Added, if he escapes from prison, it will be the prison warden's responsibility. If he escapes from prison, Magellan will be removed from his post, and I can become the prison warden. Ching Pheasant kicked Hannibal away and warned, this man is too dangerous, I will not allow you to let him out. Don't worry, I know it. Chu Lan said, you guys leave for a while, I have something to say to him alone. Lefa clenched the sledgehammer worriedly. Aokiji hesitated, but when he saw Chu Yan's firm eyes, he took a few steps back and walked to Jinbei's prison to chat with him. Seeing a few people walking away, Chu Lan then he said. Douglas Barrett, I was asked to bring you a message. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 38. I don't remember that kind of person. Barrett looked unconvinced and asked, let me hear who it is. Chu Lan said casually, that's the guy you want to defeat the most. Impossible. He is long dead. Barrett's eyes suddenly widened, and the purple overlord-colored domineering energy rushed out. Chu Yan's expression did not change. The moment his overlord-colored domineering energy appeared, his eyes suddenly opened. It is not weaker than Barrett's golden overlord. Color domineering energy surged out from Chu Yan's body, and the two domineering energies collided fiercely. The air shook violently, and then, the two domineering energies dissipated in the air at the same time. Overlord-colored domineering, I really didn't expect that someone among the trash of the Tianlong people could possess overlord-colored domineering. Barrett said in shock, you are not an ordinary celestial dragon. Now I kind of believe that Roger really has something to tell me. Chu Lan shrugged and said, Barrett, believe in yourself, your strength has surpassed mine, and I am proud of you. Barrett was stunned for a moment, gritted his teeth, and growled, no way, you are lying to me. Yeah, I'm just lying to you. Chu Yan's face did not change as she continued, listen to what I have to say. There is still the second half of the sentence. What is it? Don't lose your correct goal because of my death, otherwise, you will never be able to surpass me. What's the meaning? Under the rage, Barrett's naive mind could not understand the profound meaning of this sentence. Chu Lan shook her head and said, I don't know either. Roger told my father a lot about you. Roger, I have been worried that after his death, you will no longer trust your companions. Trust your companions. Barrett was furious, he was caught and executed by the Navy just because he believed in his companions. Sure enough, Chu Lan sighed, he expected that you might do something impulsive after getting the news that he was caught by the Navy. He wanted to stop you, but unfortunately it was too late. Barrett had tears in his eyes. He already believed Chu Yan's words, but he still asked, how did he get caught by the Navy? He is the Pirate King, the strongest Pirate King in the world. With his strength, there is no way he will be caught. This matter, of course there is an inside story. Chu Lan sighed and said he was not caught by the Navy, but surrendered. Surrender? Why? Why did he surrender to the Navy? Barrett asked in disbelief, I don't believe it. Because, even if he is not killed by the Navy, he will not survive for long. Chu Lan sighed, he has a terminal illness. Before entering the Grand Line, he knew that he would not live long. Varied, what? Barrett couldn't believe it. How could it be possible that the most powerful man in the world, the man so powerful that he could defeat him? He was already suffering from a terminal illness before entering the Grand Line? If you don't believe it, ask Riley. Rayleigh is still alive. Well, in the Chambord Islands. What disease does he have? Have no idea, Chu Lan shook her head, only Laylee knows about this matter. But Chu Lan thinks that Roger should have died from smoking too many cigars. If he could snatch smokers' tobacco fruit, he might not have died. After all, smoker never left his mouth 24 hours a day with his cigar. One draw is two, and the result is still alive and well. One piece, it's a pity. Is there anything else he wants to say to me? Barrett asked lonely. There really is, Chu Lan said. He asked you to find a trustworthy companion again, or, find a new captain. He said that only when you truly realize the importance of your companions can you truly surpass them. Roger. Barrett collapsed completely and cried, beating the ground with his fists crazily. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Chu Lan stretched out her hand to stop Ching Pheasant, who wanted to come over to check the situation. This was an important part of closing the net. How could he be disturbed? Can he fool the world's strongest bodyguard? Just look at this moment. After venting for a long time, Barrett finally let go of the innocent ground. The special ground made of solid seafloor stone was blasted with countless deep cracks by him. This is still wearing the seafloor stone. Handcuffed and leg-cuffed, with sea tower stone chains wrapped around his body, he is in an extremely weak state. He is indeed the man I like. If he is not a devil fruit user, the underwater prison will really not be able to trap him. Of course, if he without devil fruit powers, it would have been impossible to cause such a big turmoil back then. What is your purpose? Barrett asked, do you want to be my new captain? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 39. Barrett smiled, a ferocious smile. You want to be my captain, but you have the strength to defeat me. Chu Lan waved her hands and said disgustedly, I have no interest in recruiting a crew member who thinks about how to kill the captain every day, let alone. I'm not down yet enough to become a pirate. Who are pirates? He is a person who pursues freedom and has no contribution to society, but he is strong in force. Simply put, it can also be called, freelancer. Who am I, Chu Lan? Celestial dragons. Who are the celestial dragons? He is also a person who has made no contribution to society, but enjoys supreme power. Why are the pirates looking for One Piece? It's for money, for power, for strength. But how many treasures can one pirate leave behind? Even if he is the pirate king, he can leave an entire island of treasures, leave behind things that can make people become the strongest in the world, and can also give you huge rights. But that's not as good as me. Is it okay that the taxes collected by the world government in a year are more than his treasure? Didn't you see that all the generals are acting as bodyguards for me? The so-called One Piece is just a goal that Roger left for all pirates. In this way, he achieved immortality on another level. Chu Lan sighed and said with emotion. Roger is a very good person, but I don't want to bother looking for the big secret treasure he left behind, and I am not interested in the eternal pointer in your hand leading to Rafdrug. What did you say? How did you know this secret? Barrett's face changed drastically. After Roger threw away Rafdrug's permanent pointer, no one except him knew where it was. Even Rayleigh didn't know how the young man in front of him knew. Could it be that said, Roger had already guessed that I had found the permanent pointer of Raf Drew. As expected of you, Roger. Barrett sighed. I didn't expect that Roger would even tell you the secret. Chulan. What the hell? What secret did Roger tell me again? Something about the Lufton Road pointer? Roger doesn't know. It does not matter, Chulan said, the important thing is, where should you go now? Was your previous goal to defeat the Yonko, defeat the Navy, surpass Roger, and become the strongest in the world? Now that you have suddenly lost your goals, do you feel like your 20 years of training have been wasted? Do you feel like your kidneys? Oh no, I feel so exhausted and have no motivation. Barrett sat down on the ground, scratching his head, looking decadent. It doesn't matter, there is no goal, we can just find another goal. Chulan said with a smile, do you want to test the results of your 20 years of training? Roger is dead, who else can I fight with? Barrett was suddenly startled and turned to look behind Chulan. That boy, is Whitebeard still alive? Of course Dad is alive, Ace replied. Ha 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 ha. Barrett suddenly laughed, jumped up from the ground, and shouted to Ching Pheasant. Navy, let me out quickly, I can help you kill Whitebeard. King Z's face was livid and ignored him. Are you kidding me, let you out? Whitebeard and Roger were good friends when they were young. As Roger's crew member, you must know this. Let you out, you are the first. One thing I'm afraid is not to kill Whitebeard, but to join forces with Whitebeard to kill the Navy. One Whitebeard pirate group is enough to cause a headache for the Navy, plus the strongest crew member on Roger's ship, no one knows what trouble it would cause. Chulan's hung, I will never allow you to release this man, Douglas Barrett, from the undersea prison, Ching Pheasant reminded. It doesn't count if you say so. Chulan suddenly glanced at Ching Pheasant expressionlessly, and Ching Pheasant was suddenly startled. The next second, Chulan returned to her playful and kind look, as if what just happened was just an illusion. Don't worry, I know, he won't run away. Chulan looked at Barrett and asked with a smile, right? Barrett felt an icy coldness surge out of him inexplicably, and his trembling muscles seemed to remind him that something terrible was about to happen. This feeling only lasted for a moment and then disappeared. Barrett looked at the front of him. The Tianlong man grinned and said, certainly. I haven't had enough, he said, what is your purpose? I'm going to visit the New World, but I still need a bodyguard by my side. With your strength, do you still need bodyguards? What if, Chulan said. If I suddenly want to ride Kaido one day, I can't do it with an animal myself. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 40. Ha 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 ha. Barrett laughed arrogantly, that boy from the Rocks Pirates. Yes, 100 Beasts Kaido, one of the current 4 emperors. Chulan complained, you pirates have too many strongest ones. Kaido is known as the strongest creature on the surface. Whitebeard is also known as the strongest man in the world. You were, oh, only I call you the strongest person in the world. Who among you is truly the strongest? Barrett said confidently, of course it's me. Then prove it to me. Chulan said, in this underwater prison, the most vicious criminals in the world were suppressed. Each of them felt that they were very strong. If you can defeat 3. No, 2, I will admit your strength. Ha 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 ha, are you looking down on me? Barrett collided with each other and said disdainfully, in my eyes, they are all garbage. 5, Chulan held out a palm, if you can defeat 5 people, I will recognize your strength. Of course, you can't use devil fruit powers to devour warships. I don't want that guy from Sengoku to bother me with his sheep. He even knows my devil fruit abilities. Barrett nodded and agreed, okay. I disagree. Qingji firmly objected, the criminals imprisoned here are all extremely vicious. If even one of them escapes, it will cause turmoil in the world. Don't worry, none of them can escape, Chulan said. If there is a problem, I will go talk to those 5 bad old men. Don't you want your car? Which 5 people are you going to choose? Ching Pheasant said, I'll take them out. Katerina Dupont, San Juan Wolf, Abelo Pizarro, Basque Chote, Debbie Ibidambo. Chulan named 5 names. She originally wanted the Red Earl to take action, but after thinking about it, she decided not to. It would be very embarrassing if Barrett was overturned. These people should be able to put some pressure on you, Chulan said. I am looking forward. Hannibal, bring these prisoners out, Chulan ordered. Ching Pheasant, go to the sea outside and freeze a sea area as a place for them to fight. King Z nodded and approved the idea. Impel City is located in the windless zone. Without warships, it is impossible to leave. People with abilities cannot touch the sea water. What's more, there are many terrifying giant sea kings under the sea. Well, they were not killed by Fatty Blue. The kind that are used as food. They are the Neptune species, not giant. These prisoners are not golden lions. Ching Pheasant dragged the pale Hannibal to pick up the prisoners. Every prisoner Chulan mentioned was an extremely vicious criminal. But for King Z, he can completely suppress these people, because 2 of the criminals were caught by him himself. Barrett stood behind the bars of the cell and watched the key in Chu Ian's hand slowly inserted keyhole. I couldn't help but feel excited. Although the people here are very nice to talk to and all of them are talented people, he likes it here very much. However, now that he has a new goal, it is certainly a better choice to go out and see this world that he has not seen for 20 years. With a creak, the cell door that had been closed for 20 years suddenly opened. Chulan took 2 steps back. Bang! There was a huge roar, the ground shattered, and the railings broke. He rushed out of the cell in an instant, and his tall body ran rampant in the prison. Several groups of anaerobic people came on the spot. At this time, Barrett was like a wild animal, husky. Ha ha ha, this feeling of freedom has been long gone. Barrett's huge and strong body stood in front of Chulan and said loudly, Dragon people, join my pirate group. Join your pirate group. You have been imprisoned for 20 years. Where did you get the pirate group? Chulan smiled and said, you are my bodyguard. If you want to get on the ship, I will be the captain. Do you actually want to surpass Roger? No no no, Chulan shook her finger, Roger has never been worthy of comparing with me. Barrett laughed. Hearing such words, he was not angry at all. A strong person must have such courage, but your current strength is not enough. Our own strength needs to be strengthened, but, the strength of your partners is also important, isn't it? Chulan sprayed a wave of rainbow fart directly. Isn't it because of you that Roger was able to dominate the sea and become the pirate king? Ha 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 ha, that's so true, mate. Partner, Barrett said with emotion. Since Roger's death, I just want to be the strongest in the world, but it only makes sense to take risks with equally strong partners. Chulan nodded in agreement. The fool is so easy to fool.